Apologies, we had a bit of a disconnection there. Apologies for that. We're currently busy with setting the tone, ensuring that our hearts are correct, our minds are correct, and that we are ready to receive the message this evening, inshallah. And so, alhamdulillah, I've just got an indication that we're back on, and we pray, we make dua, inshallah, that we have no disruptions moving forward. Apologies for that. We started with the protection by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't have shaitan cause us to misinterpret his work. So moving forward, the basmala, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, merciful, the especially merciful. We seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his most beautiful names, Ar-Rahman, that he showers us with his mercies as we are attempting to understand his words, seeking guidance from his words. Ar-Rahim, the especially merciful, and that in the year after we receive of his guidance as well. Reminder again that the Light Women's Foundation is doing these particular workshops so that we can utilize our time in such a way that will benefit, inshallah. Beautiful reminders, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept the efforts, and also as a means of us preparing for the month of Ramadan. Nice to test, and how should we respond? It could be used at any particular point in time when we are going through the test, and more specifically now that we are currently going through a lockdown. This is a test for many of us. The whole world is going through a bit of a struggle. The whole world is going through a lockdown. Many people are affected. Many people are dying. Should these occurrences happen now, specifically with the COVID-19 or any other test that we go through, how should we respond? And this is very beautifully speaks to us. And if he's guiding us to how to most beautifully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us, فَاذْكُرُونِي رِمِي فَاذْكُرُونِي بِكُمْ, and in return I will remember you. There was one of the companions, Abu Uthman, who said that I know when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remembers me. And those related to him were very interested and eager to know, how is it possible that you know when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is remembering you? We quoted the verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاذْكُرُونِي, remember me, أَذْكُرْكُمْ, and I will remember you in return. And so this is the first step that we need to take in relation to any test that we have. We connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remember us. But something important I wish to mention this evening, and that is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, whoever wishes for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remember him in times of difficulty, so he should remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in times of ease. So this is very important, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you need to remember him. But you specifically want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remember you in times of difficulty, then the Rasul says, in times of ease, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So very important act on this particular advice. That whatever situation we find ourselves in, when we find ourselves in times of ease, that we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we find ourselves in Allah subhanahu as well, but knowing that we've remembered Allah in times of ease, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala definitely will remember us in times of difficulties. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ, remember me and I will remember you. How is it that we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Generally, when we speak about remembering Allah, we speak about dhikr. The dhikr is pronounced via the tongue. When we say Subhanallah, we say Alhamdulillah, we say Allahu Akbar. Inshallah, we want not only the tongue to pronounce, but we want the heart to feel. And so when we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it must be a dual a new thing that's happening that our tongues are remembering, but our hearts are feeling. Our hearts are feeling. And the heart is that particular place in the body that from flows the blood through the rest of the body. So Allah, then it flows to the rest of the limbs, and the body starts remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Picture the heart. I want you to, for a moment, just to put your hand, and I want to feel your pulse. Do you feel that heart beating? Now, I want you to imagine that for every beat that the heart is currently beating, it is saying, Allah, 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 Allah. Imagine we get our hearts to that particular point that it only beats for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so beautifully in a hadith Qudsi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Man dhakarani fi nafsi, dhakartuhu fi nafsi. Whoever remembers me by himself, I remember him by myself. When we remember Allah alone, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remembers us. وَمَنْ ذَكَرَنِي فِي مَلَئٍ, and whomsoever remembers me in a gathering, then I remember him in a gathering greater than the gathering that he is in. I remember him amongst the best of creation, the malaika that are pure, that do not disobey the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we want our tongues not only to mention Allah, but we want our hearts to reflect on the greatness and the magnificence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is our first step in terms of how to respond we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in good times, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remember us in difficult times. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Washkuru li, and be grateful to me. Gratitude, a very important component in any situation we find ourselves in. Even in times of difficulty, showing gratitude is something that will assist us in that difficulty. Washkuru li wa la takfurun, and do not takfurun, do not reject me, do not turn away from me. One of the greatest forms of ingratitude, kufr ni'mah, a form of rejection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, minor form is ingratitude. And the greatest form of ingratitude is rejection. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't have any of these layers of ingratitude, whether it be being ungrateful or complete rejection of me. Do not find yourself in this. Father, remember me, and I'm going to remember you. Remember me in times of ease, in times of difficulty. And this is the way that we as you as every situation we find us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very beautiful and very important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, oh you who have iman, oh you who believe. Now again, this concept of iman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gifted specific people the gift of iman. Not everyone has iman. Out of the dunya, out of the millions of people that have been created, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has specifically chosen those whom He wishes to be recipients of this gift. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gifted me and you with this gift of iman, subhanallah, how grateful should we not be? Washkuru li wa la takfurun, again going back to the verse, to be grateful. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then addresses me and you as believers. And we know that when we are grateful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, La in shakartum la azidannakum. If you are grateful, I will most definitely increase you. Subhanallah. So again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in times of difficulty, we respond with gratitude. We respond with praises. We respond with the correct attitude. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will assist us in that times of difficulty, inshallah. Ameen. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. O you who believe, O you have iman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have addressed this particular group of people in any way. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this particular format, O you who believe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking specifically to the believers. Specifically to those who has gifted with iman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gifted me and you with iman. So Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking to me and you. And what is He saying? He says, Ista'inu from Aun. Aun is to seek assistance, to gain assistance. Ista'inu on the 10th bab is to seek assistance when we are seeking assistance, we are going through a difficulty and we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's assistance, what is the methodology? What is the way and how should we respond in that time? Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the methodology. When we seek assistance with two particular aspects, two beautiful characteristics that we need to inculcate within our lives. Ista'inu bis sabri. Ista'inu, seek assistance, number one, with patience. With patience. Seek assistance, having patience with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Seek assistance, having the courage. This is the first step to any difficulty that we have. Why? Inna Allah, Allah said, Inna Allah ma'as-sabirin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with those who have sabr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with those that have sabr. Sometimes the difficulty, sometimes the trial, sometimes the test that we go through is only as a means of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calling us back to Him. Sometimes a test, sometimes a trial is only as a means of us refining ourselves. Sometimes the test is a means of us purifying ourselves from our shortcomings and our sins. Sometimes it is a means of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevating us. So understand, brothers and sisters in Islam, that the first step to any test is to have the right attitude, to have sabr, to have perseverance, to have patience. And so this is a very important quality to have. Number one, because Allah is with, Inna Allah ma'as-sabirin. Allah is with those who have patience. It might be that through that test that we are going through, our rank is elevated by Allah. Allah is purifying us. Allah subhanahu is removing our sins. Allah subhanahu is drawing us closer to Him. So how can it be that we don't have patience in that particular program that Allah subhanahu is placing us through? And so very important to Rasulullah says as-sabr. Sabr is when عند صدمة الأولى. Sabr is when the affliction happens. Sabr is when the affliction happens. Immediately what happens, we have the correct response, and Allah subhanahu tells us what the correct response is. But connected to having sabr, it's having the necessary perseverance, having the ability to have sabr. And sabr is actually of three types. Having sabr in terms of the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Certain things are impermissible for us. So we have sabr on the commands of Allah. And then number two, having sabr on fulfilling those particular commands. So certain things we have to stay away from, and certain things that we need to do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we turn to Allah having sabr on those things that we need to do. And then thirdly, very importantly, we maintain the sabr whilst going through a trial, whilst going through a test, whilst going through a difficulty. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala requesting this from who? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. O you who have iman, O you who have been gifted with this quality of iman, this is the attitude that you need to have. Start off with having the correct attitude of patience and ready to stand through what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And what is the second element that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to have? Salah. He wants us to have salah in our lives. SubhanAllah. Salah is one of the kinds of ibadah. And importantly, I remind myself and yours at this particular moment in time that one of the best ways to draw closer to Allah is via salah. As we can, subhanAllah, answer our needs, difficulties for us, having sabr and having salah. The way to become a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Hadith Qudsi explains, Man aliyan faqad adantuhu bil harb. If I wage war against him. And then the remedy of drawing closer to Allah. وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبْدِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ. A person cannot draw closer with that which I have made compulsory. So our first step towards Allah is fulfilling our responsibility towards him. And one of those responsibilities which is one of the tenets, one of the pillars, one of the arkan of our Islam, is salah. So here we see, if we want to draw closer to Allah, we want Allah to remove our difficulties, then a step towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fulfilling our responsibility towards him, and that is salah. And so we make dua, inshallah, that we find ourselves on salah 5 times a day. For someone that is on salah 5 times a day, he now extends it and he starts doing his sunnahs. Because Rasul says in the hadith, وَلَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُونَ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ حَتَّى أُحِبُّهُ. A person will then continue after he has his foundation, his faraid, those things that are compulsory upon him, he's got that in place. A person will continue drawing closer to me بِالنَّوَافِلِ with extra acts, the extra sunnahs before, the extra sunnahs after. Perhaps he starts getting onto tahajjud until I love him. Until I love him. If you want to become a friend of Allah, then start at the bottom. Start with those things that are compulsory. This is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes me and you to draw close to him. Then we extend and go beyond that, and we add to that with extra good deeds, bin nawafil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then love us. حتى أحبه until I love him. أبته Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala كنت سمعه الذي به. I become the وبصره الذي به, and I become the eyes that he sees with, ويده التي become the hands that he grasps with, التي تمشي بها, and I become the that he walks with. وإذا سألني أعطيته, I will most definitely give him. وَلَئِنِ اسْتَعَاذَنِي, if this person seeks my forgiveness, لَأُعِيذَنَّهُ, I will most definitely forgive him. So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a remedy to turn back to him, a remedy to success, a remedy as to how we do. Firstly, we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All situations, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remember us in return. And then we take the next step and we say that we're going to have the correct attitude. We go through this, perhaps Allah is drawing closer to him. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala character through this. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best qualities. Just to look at, for example, at how a diamond is formed. A diamond, how is it formed? Diamond is cold, extreme pressure, and then through that extreme pressure, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses that extreme pressure to bring out the beauty of that rock, of that coal, of that dark element that is under the ground under high pressure. Sometimes when we're under loads and loads of stress, it's through that the diamond in us shows. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes puts us through that so that we can see. So, ista'inu, how are we going to do this? Bisabr. Our first element that we need to have is sabr, because Allah is with the sabirin. And then the next step is to make some effort in our salah, because our salah is our connection directly to Allah, communication between ourselves and our Creator. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says over here, Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. Through this process, you will find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with you. Indeed, Allah is with the sabirin. People go through various tests, and I think one of the greatest tests one can go through is to lose a loved one. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows this. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds to a person who has lost somebody on the battlefield. This is one of the most difficult circumstances one can go through. You've lost a loved one, and how do you lose them on the battlefield? Rasulullah was at the Battle of Uhud, and his uncle was martyred. The uncle Hamza radiallahu anhu, but mutilated. Mus'ab bin Umair and 70 other Sahaba, and Rasulullah felt it the hardest at that particular time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says over here, وَلَا تَقُولُوا, just to show that this is one of the greatest losses, the greatest tests one can go through. وَلَا تَقُولُوا, and do not say لِمَن يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٍ. Do not say in relation to the one who has been killed in the path of Allah, he's been martyred on the path of Allah, amwat, that he's dead. It's giving us a completely different mindset, a completely different way to look at things. When someone dies on the battlefield, we feel sorry for him. We think he's going through, we went through hardship. We think, look, he gave his life, but look what happened in return. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't think that that person is dead. Bal ahya, rather he is alive. How he is alive? وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ, you cannot perceive. That a martyr, before his blood drops onto the floor, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives all his sins. And the soul, the ruh of a martyr is put into a green bird. And this green bird, whilst this martyr is in the bird, flies through Jannah. And the martyr gets to see his place in Jannah before anybody else. And then this bird goes to hang on the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, resting whilst he is resting in Jannah. And he is fed of the fruit of Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't think that this person has died. No, I'm giving you a different aspect to happening to a particular person. He is alive. Another place in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and he's rejoicing with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him in return. Allah is rejoicing through the difficulty that he has gone through. And so very importantly, we see over here that never does a person go through any difficulty except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, should he have the correct attitude, is willing and ready to reward him. Willing and ready to reward him. It comes in hadith that a person doesn't even have a prick of a thorn except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us our shortcomings and raises our right by him. So may these verses assist us during our tough times, during our tests. When someone else also goes through a difficulty, they know that on the other side of things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there. Inna ma'ala usri yusra. Indeed, with that difficulty comes ease. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us that it is a process that each and every one of us has to go through. We have to go through this process as part and parcel of the journey of our lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ and لَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. On this verb, there are two forms of emphasis. There's a lam of emphasis, lam al-tawqeed, and there's a heavy emphatic noon, the noon al-tawqeed, al-thaqila, the heavy emphatic noon. We will most part of our journey on the dunya is that we want to be tested. And the reason for that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see how we are going to respond when He puts us through a difficulty. He puts us through. What are some of the tests that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us with? There's going to be a time when there will be some fear. Something's going to happen in our life that's going to create some fear in our lives. There's going to be a time when we find ourselves in a state of hunger. For many of us, maybe alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sustained us with rizq. And so you never ever really feel a state of hunger. But in the fast, we are told to fast from the morning until the evening. This is the biggest jihad ever. So there's going to be a time where you're going to have a loss of wealth. This is one of the tests that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to place there. And there will be time that it's going to be a loss of nafs, with tamarat, and the fruits of your labor. Sometimes you need to put in effort. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to allow you to see the fruits of that particular labor. This is the tests that each and every one of us will go through. Very quick story. I was running. I still need to complete these verses, but a very quick story. If we look at the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in what is known as Amul Huzn. Amul Huzn was the year that his wife Khadija radiallahu anha passes on. His uncle passes on. His main supporter, his uncle. He then leaves the Taif to give da'wah there, and the people of Taif send the youngsters and the slaves to stone Rasulullah, such that Rasulullah was bleeding until his sandals were filled with blood. And he reaches a particular place, a tree, and he makes the ayat to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Ya Allah, if you are not upset with me, then he's not worried about what these people are doing to him. But a person might ask the question, why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow the best of his creation to be stoned? Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow the best of his creation to go through such difficulties? And a beautiful scholar mentioned that it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes to testify for Rasulullah sallallahu on the day of Qiyamah. Look at my slave, look at what I put him through, and look at how he responds. Look at how he responds. Look at what his response is to me. Look at how he holds fast unto this deen and holds fast unto me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will testify for us on the day of Qiyamah. Likewise, me and you, every situation we find ourselves in with the correct attitude, inshallah, it will be for us on the day of Qiyamah. Allah subhanahu will test us بشيء من الخوف, fear, جوع, hunger, نقص من الأموال, souls, ثمرات, fruits, flavor. But Allah subhanahu وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, again, declaring to those who have the sabr, the correct attitude, the correct response. Bashir, this word bashir comes from basharatun. Basharatun means your skin. Bashir means to give glad tidings that causes the hair on your skin to stand. Glad tidings to you, O believers, who was able to have the correct response when I tested you, because what you are going to get in return is going to be out of this world, literally. Out of this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about Jannah, فِيهَا مَا لَا عَيْنٌ رَأَتْ. What you're going to get in return is Jannah, which no eyes ever seen, وَلَا عُذُنٌ سَمِعَتْ. The heart, the ears have never heard of some of the things that are in Jannah, وَلَا خَطَرَ عَلَى قَلْبِ بَشَرٍ. And the heart cannot perceive what is in return. So وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Give them such that the hair stands end because of the reward that they're going to get in return for having the correct response. الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ. Those who, when a musibah, an affliction afflicts them, when they are afflicted with something, قَالُوا, they respond. And this is such a powerful statement. We're going to put and make this part and part of our vocabulary, to make it part and parcel of our lives, that whenever we go through a difficulty, we are going to say this, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, who are them? Who are those that have the sabr? Who are the true believers? They are those when they are afflicted, they say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. From Allah do we come, and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do we return. When we go through this, immediately say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And don't only say it with a statement, but say it with understanding. From Allah do I come, and to Allah do I return. And how does this help me? I realize that I have been placed here by Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at this moment wishes to test me. And He wants to see how am I going to respond, because I'm going to return to Him. And I'm going to be asked about that question. So I then put my heart at ease. Ya Allah, from you do I come, and I'm going to return to you. This is about a test. You want to see how am I going to respond to this test. May we use this beautiful statement that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed there for us to use. The psychology behind it is so beautiful that the next time you go through difficulty, say it with meaning and feel how you feel contented with the command and the matter at hand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed there for you. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. For a moment and say it and feel it. From Allah do I come, into Allah I'm going to return. Say it together. Inna lillahi wa inna from Allah do I come, and to Allah I'm going to return. Doesn't it make you feel a sense of calmness? Doesn't it make you feel a sense of, I really need to put my trust in Allah, that no matter what I go through, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be there for me. Journey. Through the journey I have to go through the journey I have to visit it, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refine me, so that I can grow closer to Him. They say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about them, Ulaika, those ones, alayhim, upon them is salawatun min rabbihim. It is the salawat, the salutations of the Lord upon them. The salutations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is upon these individuals. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends salutations upon you that you are You are good to go. Your life will be sorted. Your akhirah will be made. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَيْهِمْ صَلَوَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ. And not only salawat upon them, but rahmah. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is upon these individuals. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُهْتَدُونَ. And they are the ones that are muhtadun. They are those that have been guided. One of the signs that one is guided is our response in times of difficulty. One of the signs that we have been guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our response in times of difficulty. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُهْتَدُونَ. They are those that have been guided. If we are of those that are guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then ensure that any calamity, any test that we are going through, that we have a correct response. And through that, we ensure that we are of those that are guided. We look at the verse in Surah Tawbah, verse number 51, another beautiful verse. This is a command given to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as to how he should respond. Qul, say to them, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, say to them, Lan, never ever yusibana, nothing will ever afflict me and you, nothing will ever afflict us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam must say this to them. Nothing will ever afflict us. لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا, except that which Allah has already prescribed for us. Kataba in the past tense. It's already been prescribed, it's already been documented. What I'm going through now, it has already been placed there on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's timeline. It has now come to pass, and Allah wants to see again how I respond. إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا, except that which Allah has already documented for me.